Welcome to the Dijiti Podcast. My name is Mariam Beneka.
And I am Mercy Mutemi.
Mercy, we finally did it. We've been planning this for a while and I just can't wait to dive in.
Yeah, this has been months in the making. Finally recording this podcast is a dream come true.
We're here and we'll talk all things digital law. How does the law apply in this digital world? In this first episode, we'll spotlight some groundbreaking court cases where judges have been forced to apply the law to digital cases. Mercy, take us to our first case.
Okay, our first case is on revenge pornography. If you're a millennial or Gen Z, you definitely know the meaning of the phrase send nudes. Often, people like to share racy, intimate, and sometimes nude photos of themselves to their sexual partners. Maria, I see you nodding in disappointment.
Why would anyone do that?
They would ask you, why not? Anyway, in July 2016, this country was treated to an unusual spectacle. So, Roshanara Ibrahim, Miss World Kenya 2015, was dethroned in the most public and humiliating way. I remember watching videos of the competition and being taken with how polished and focused she was. You could tell she had a level head on her shoulders. Mm-hmm. So this was quite a shocking announcement to make at the time. Roshanara, at the time, was in a relationship with one Frank Zahiten. Then they broke up. In revenge, maybe he'd had his feelings broken. I mean, this is a celebrity, her star is rising. He remembers he has these nude photos of her. In some, they were both nude. Some photos he had taken of her. He makes this scandalous package of her nude photos and sends it to Ashley's Kenya Limited, who are the organizers and franchise holders of Miss World Kenya. Ashley's say, oh, look, we have a contract with Roshanara. Our contract forbids her from taking part in photo shoots without our consent. And she's supposed to carry herself in a certain manner to avoid bringing the pageant to disrepute. Furthermore, the entry rules to compete in the Global Miss World event, one has to guarantee that they have never been the subject of a nude photo shoot before. At this point, they feel for them to field a candidate in the world event, they have to drop Roshanara. They have no choice. Okay, so they issue a press release. She has been dethroned. And the first runners-up, Evelyn Jambi, will take her place.
So much to unpack there. How such a private moment between a girlfriend and boyfriend escalates and becomes that one thing that stands between you and your dream. Then again, we see a sustained culture of men trying to patrol women's bodies. He didn't seem to mind her posing in the nude for their private pleasure. He was the one urging her to take some nudes. Now that they're no longer together, hello, if I can't have you, nobody can. This is common too. So, when he was asked why he did it, he says he wanted to protect the image of the pageant and of the country. Please.
Yeah, it's quite shocking and scary too, how men feel entitled to women's bodies and their choices, that they get to determine when a nude photo should be celebrated and when it should be frowned upon. I mean, come on, that's just simple sexism. There's no other way around it. It's sexism, plain and simple.
So Roshanara goes to court, as she should, and as everyone who has been a victim of this kind of violence should. She sued Ashley's, the proprietor, that's Terry Mungai. She sues Frank, that's the boyfriend, and Evelyn Jambi, her successor. She says that Ashley's terminated her contract unfairly without following the right procedure and for unlawful reasons. She wants her throne reinstated. She also wants to be compensated for defamation, for psychological suffering that she's had to endure, and the damage to her reputation. And additionally, she wants a public apology. Ashley says, wait, we have a contract. The contract, basically, you were supposed to protect your image rights. That's one. We are at liberty to terminate your contract with us. Secondly, and there's that lingering issue of the entry rules to participate in the world event. They go on to add that according to the contract, if there's a dispute, you should take it to arbitration, not to court. So, the judge, sadly, agrees. Even though the law is not in the business of regulating people's lives, the judge says she did sign an agreement and she is bound to it.
It's disappointing, isn't it? You would expect the judge to come in to her rescue. However, the judge doesn't stop there. He narrows in on what was the root cause of the entire problem. Frank Zahiten. That was the root cause of the problem. He makes very clear declarations. One, the act of taking nude photographs for yourself does not waive your right to privacy. You posing in the nude and taking photos, that's your right. The fact that you take the photos, that does not wish away your right to privacy. You only waive that right when you yourself consent to disseminating those photos to third parties. Secondly, he addresses the sharing of nude photos between couples, partners, and spouses. He says, it is reasonable that you expect that the people you share the nudes with will protect your privacy, and further, they'll not share them with other people. So the right to privacy will protect you to that extent, that they will not share them with other people.
So, Mercy, just as we go along with our conversation, so these are now the personal rights that we are talking about, because I know people will ask about personal rights. So this is basically what you're describing. All right. So then it's important, that declaration is very important, because nude photos have been used by ex-lovers to hold women hostage. And women end up being afraid of having their reputation tarnished. There are even instances where on platforms such as Telegram, groups are created to share nude pictures of women and I guess to mock them and shame them. Here, in this case, we have a judge saying the only thing you consented to is the sharing of the photos with the one person. That is the person who took them. Everything he does with those photos, therefore, then he will be held responsible. Isn't that what we're saying?
Exactly. So when you send your nude photos to your partner, the only thing you've consented is for your partner's eyes to see those nude photos. If your partner sends them to third parties, another eyeball sees them, another eyeball sees, your partner will be held responsible for every extra eyeball that sees those nude photos.
So these groups, these WhatsApp groups and these Telegram groups that people create, and then I share my photos of a nude partner, you share your photos of a nude partner, the third person, the fourth person, we are actually all committing an offense.
Exactly. And Frank was held responsible indeed. The judge calls him malicious. He tells him he acted out of spite and pettiness, and his only aim was not only to shame Roshanara, but also to cost her her future. Mm-hmm. And for that, he really had to pay. Mm-hmm. 1 million Kenya shillings was the amount Frank was to pay to Roshanara for his despicable behavior. Yes, very despicable behavior.
That's fantastic.
And on top of that, he had to pay her back the money that she used to hire lawyers to represent her in that case, which could be anything really from 250,000 going up.
Now, look, I don't know how much being crowned Miss World pays, but considering the opportunities for endorsement deals, for example, and modeling gigs, I would say 1 million is probably just elastoplast to cover the wound.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad. You can't really pay back that. There's something someone loses in that process.
It strips you.
Dignity, and it's not something you can put a value on. But if you follow Roshanara's career, I mean, she's achieved way more success than, at this point she probably thought she was going to achieve. She is a testament of not letting something like this silence you. You have to fight for yourself, and you have to be the one to determine your own future. I know so many women who've been victims of things like this, and they've just let it determine their future. So this is the lesson, really, that there's hope and you can stand up and fight for yourself.
Indeed. There you have it. That's our first episode, season 1. Let us know what you think of this case on our social media. On Instagram, we are at Dijiti, on Twitter at Dijiti, and as well as Facebook. We hope that you'll be there next time, and we'll be responding to your questions. If you have any, hit us on our inbox, our DM, and don't send us nudes, please.
I bet the next time you're responding to a send nudes message, you'll have something to think about. And then the next time you're tempted to share someone else's nude photos, you'll simply desist from doing it. Actually, Maria, the law has changed since Roshanara. Mm-hmm. If that were happening today, Frank would find himself going to jail on top of paying the 1 million. It's now a criminal offense to share nude photos of another person.
I think that's perfect. And it's a very well-deserved prison sentence, I would say, on top of paying the fine.
Yes.
Seriously, because we need to curb this menace.
Yeah. Anyway, that was episode 1. Thank you so much for joining us on the Dijiti Podcast. Once again, I'm Masi Mutemi.
And I am Maria Mbeneka.
Find us on Twitter, or on the accounts that Maria had mentioned, and also on our personal accounts. Until next time, Tiwainesa.
Tiwainesa, peeps.
Thank you.
Background music, Mood Shifting, done by Nalokanga. Please check out more of our projects on the podcast description linked below.